I also have to say, the biggest hot in the world right now is Leigh Diffey. Oh my gosh. I'm so excited. I'm so happy. I'm so happy for Leigh Diffey. So let me tell you a quick story. I at one time in my life, I did a sports talk show in the morning. Morning sports talk show. That's probably a better way to put it. And I had Leigh Diffey on as a guest one time. He just was so nice, so accommodating. We had a great conversation about IndyCar, about Formula One. I think at that time his what he was doing with the Olympics was rowing. He had not gotten into track and field yet, but we just had a great conversation. And you know, I love sports media and I love delving into it, but I just he's so great at everything he does. But what we often don't get to see is just how great these people are, and he really is one of the best. And he's worked so hard. I mean, could you have even imagined? I don't want to spend 20 minutes on this, but just speaking from your experience, Josh, and everything that you have done trying to get up the broadcasting ladder, could you imagine a world where you were quite literally a world away in Australia and you put in all of this work to get somewhere in this industry, somewhere big in this industry? And think about what he's done. Rolex 24, Le Mans, Indianapolis 500, the voice of IndyCar on a major American network. And now on that same network, he's going to be the voice of NASCAR on television. Who could have ever dreamt that? All the voices that we've had in the past of NASCAR on TV. We have had Jackie Stewart. This was long time ago, and he was on very little on the races that ABC covered back in the day, which weren't very many. We've had David Hobbs at CBS. Who could have imagined an Australian voice of NASCAR in America? I just think what Leigh Diffey has done is unbelievable. It should have a documentary on him at some point, because he has just done such amazing work. And to get to this point, Bathurst 1000, to get to this point really had to be. You think he could have ever dreamt of that?
No, couldn't have done. And he was part of the BBC actually over here in the UK for many years. He was the it wasn't called MotoGP then. It was 500. It was the Motorcycle Grand Prix, but he was part of the BBC coverage alongside Susie Perry and Steve Parish as well back in the day. And then he left at the end of 2001, went stateside. And he was taken over by Charlie Cox. And let me tell you something, Charlie Cox, Susie Perry, and Steve Parish as a duo, the stories you could tell of those three as well. And they are very funny people. But he's always remembered. And I think he always leaves a mark about where he is across every single paddock. And he is a testament to how brilliant a broadcaster you can be, that everybody wants you to work in your motorsport series. And he covered the race in Michigan in 2017. And NASCAR put that clip up a few days ago. The finish of that was more energetic than Rick Allen's. And I think that's what NASCAR's missing. You get the sensible but energetic calls on Fox with Mike Joy, and you respect Mike Joy with it all as well. But then we're missing the Alan Bestwicks. We're missing it where you want to watch this race and you want to be on the edge of your seat, listening to the commentators go full beam. And that's what Leigh Diffey does. And that's what I think NBC really need on their NASCAR team. And I'm very happy that they've made the call. I said in our Grid Network chat, to me, the box this year on NBC, because I've watched a couple when I haven't been in the box, and you lot have been calling it as well. I've watched the next day and I flip back and I always watch the highlights to see, as probably you do, Matthew, as well, see what tips we can bring up and see what they were saying in the box. The NBC box this year feels flat and dead without Dale. And it's just Rick Allen's like not even trying this year. That's what I got.
How deep you want to get into this?
Bob Jenkins was the standout. I will admit that.
How deep do you want to get into this? I ask
We've got
because
8 minutes, so go on.
I just ask because you can be on the edge of your seat watching a race on television without the announcers screaming over the top of everything. And Rick has just not been able to consistently match the moment with what the moment deserves. I've said this all the time. Alan Bestwick, amazing at just shutting up and letting the pictures tell us the story. Mike Joy does it so well. Ken did it well. Bob Jenkins did it well. Rick has just not been able to consistently give that. And Leigh, what I can't wait to hear from Leigh is this weekend at Daytona, first time for him doing this super speedway pack racing. And I would imagine, even with all of his experience with 500s and Bathurst 1000s and all of these big races, it's going to take his breath away at the start. And I hope for him, and Leigh Diffey does not need me giving him any advice, but if I were to just say one thing, when his breath does get taken away for that first time on Saturday night, when they're 3 and 4 wide, 5 rows deep, just lay out, watch it.
You warned me about that when I started at Daytona this year. Yeah, because it is like, you may commentate IndyCar 500s and Formula One and, lights out starts and everything, but green flag rolling route starts at Daytona and in NASCAR, it's just completely different. You've got to be looking at so much stuff at one time and trying to pick out and identify cars. And I'm still getting it wrong now. It's my first year in the NASCAR box fully, and I'm still getting it wrong. And I'm still get to have that feeling of leaving the commentary box and going, yeah, that went right. That went right. Because I still don't. And I don't think many people do, because there's always levels you can improve upon. And I'm so looking forward to hearing what he's got to say this weekend. I think everybody is. And I think Ken Squire's got, Ken as well. That was fantastic, wasn't it, as well? I think the one, I listen to MRN all the time as well, so it's Craig Franklin as well. Ben also says, for every Homestead 2016, there's 10 aggressive goes around the outside. The out goes around with Rick Allen, yeah. I mean, commentators have their little sayings, don't they, as well? I mean, we pick them up quite a lot in commentaries, because the one thing you can't do as a commentator is go, you can't do that, can you? You've got,
but you can't lose control either.
Yeah, that's another thing as well. And I think that's why you've got to have the right number of people in the box. So you've got to know who's going where and keep it lined up as well.